Welcome to my channel, hope you're safe and well. This is the build or assembly video, if you prefer, of the Night Radian, the FT version. Also, along with assembly, I will be installing this Wingnut light controller in place of the manual system they've got inside here. So the first thing I've actually got to do is to replace the existing lighting system. But before I do that, I just want to show you a few things that I have done. As I'm examining the wings, I noticed that the striping on the wings actually covered, as you can see here, 2 LEDs in the strip. 2 on this one as well. So what I've actually done, as you can see, is I've cut the transfer or the sticker away at these points, so the LED colouring is not interrupted by these strips. Done it on this one as well. Made a little boo-boo there, but it won't be noticeable. In fact, this one was covering 3 LEDs. This one was covering 2. So before we go into the actual build instructions, which actually starts on the tailplane, I want to look at the installation of the Wingnut circuit board. First thing I've done is to connect this receiver, the AR636A, onto my computer. Then I've used the software that Spectrum supply you to reprogram this. I've opened up channels 4, 5 and 6 because for some bizarre reason, when Horizon Hobby produce these, if you're only going to use 3 or 4 channels, they block the actual receiver, which is a bit stupid really, because you're buying a 6-channel receiver as part of the plane. They should have all 6 channels working. But because I've got a programming cable, because I've got a computer, because I've got the software, blah de blah de blah de blah, this has been updated with the new airware, and also channels 4, 5 and 6 have been freed, which will allow me to operate the board. Now the next thing I have to do is pull all of this back through and out. So this is all going. This is the controller board for the LEDs. But to make life easier for me, I need an extension lead to go through this hatch at the bottom, through the hole in there, and up into here, so I can plug it into channel 4, 5 and 6. So I'm going to use this by pulling it out this way, but connecting it to an extension lead first. So let me try that now. Right, so this is the redundant LED controller cables. I've now got an extension coming through here and up through here. I need to be able to take this off. This can come off, you just be careful, but you can just bend it so it comes off. Now all these wires in here are to do with the LEDs. The trouble is trying to work out which one is for which. But I have to take them off. I have to pull this board out, this little thing in there. This is just a through connector, it just connects everything up together. But it's going to be replaced with my circuit board, so I've got to get it out. That's the bit that was in there, don't need that anymore. So I know none of these are the wings, so this must be the tail and the fuselage. I'm using channel 1 on this board. The board, by the way, will actually end up sitting in like this. It might go in like that actually, it'd be better like that. So this plugs into channel 1 and the signal is furthest away from the board. Just like that. There's the signal. Furthest away from the board according to the instructions. So on this board it says right, left, nose. And I know that the signal is furthest away from the board. Right, left, nose. Left nose. So that goes there. Okay, so this is all connected now. I've got the orange, which is the signal cable, uppermost away from the board, because the pins at the top here are the signal pins. The same on this extension that's going through into the cockpit, and that's to plug into a channel on the receiver. And basically when I'm done here, like that, and I'll have Y leads coming up through here and through here, and they'll allow me to connect the wings. Let's see if I can show you what I've done. Let's see if I cannot show you what I have done. So in here now you've got your battery connector, you've got your throttle, you've got your rudder, and you've got your elevator. No ailerons, because this doesn't have an aileron. Then where you would have your gear in channel 5, I've plugged the LED controller. And that's how neat that is, so you can have the battery sitting anywhere you like in there to get the correct centre of gravity. Then in here, this is how neat this is inside. This is a circuit board. I haven't glued it down yet, or hot glued it down, because I need 2 aileron extensions to go in there. One's going to pop out this side, and one's going to pop out this side. And that will allow me to connect the wings up as I need to. The rest is all connected. I've got my tail lights, I've got my body lights, fuselage lights, and I've got my cockpit lights. So just left on the right wings to do. The magnetic catch here came away. That's how well made these things are. Just sitting here, so I will have to glue that in there like that so it stays in place, because of course you need that to close the hatch. Yeah, and that's about all I can do for now, believe it or not, because I have to get some small servo extensions. I'm going to go onto eBay now and get those purchased. So we're going to put the elevator on, horizontal stabilizer and elevator. And the way you do this is basically you push it in from the side where the clevis is, like so. And then that's it. You have to judge or measure somehow to make sure that you've got equal sides. Now there's different methods. One is to use a bit of a carbon rod or a bit of balsa that you've got spare, and basically put it up against this plastic piece and sort of mark the point. You can put a bit of tape round, then you transfer that to the other side and see if you can get it. You eyeball it. But what I decided to do was to measure it. So these markings, it is 47.5 millimeters long using that outer hinge. So I've divided that by 2 to get the halfway point, which is 23.75, which is that longer mark there. Then I've moved 2mm out either side. I've moved, which are these ones. Then I've moved from the centre point again out 2 centimetres either way. So I can now use this to better eyeball when this is in the centre point. Well, it's about there. And you score it here. Just make a line in the foam. The same this side. Just short of 14. Okay, so I marked the where it's got to sit on the fuselage this way, and what I'll be doing is looking at that on this side. Tiny bit of foam tack there. See that? I'm keeping it within these marks down there. I'll do the same here. Let's have it. Now, if you want to use their tape, you can use their tapes, but there's really no need. I might use it just here. That foam tack will bond that and hold it very nicely. Beauty about foam tack is that it remains flexible. The worst case scenario, if I want to take this off, not going to be that difficult. And yes, those of you who are wondering, foam tack bonds with plastic very well. So it will hold it in the lateral planes, and you can peel it away, so you can get a blade under there and just gently cut the foam tack away to pull that out. While we're waiting for that to dry, you can see I've put the hatch back on. I've glued this back in. The cables down here are hot glued out of the way of the servo arms. These are all connected. I've only got 2 more to connect, as I said, for the left and right wing in there for the lights. And I'm going to put little short extensions onto those so they pop out the side here. Then I'll hot glue that in place. That's done. Something I do need to show you inside the canopy here. And I'm only showing this because I haven't seen anyone that tells you this. So there's my receiver. The first pin connection that has nothing in it here is the bind port. And as you can see, there's nothing in it yet. Channel 1 here, this one is your throttle. Channel 2 is your aileron, and it's got something in it. Now, you don't have ailerons on the Night Radian, and what they've done is they've connected the rudder to the aileron channel, and that allows you to fly as if you're using your aileron. So instead of having to remember how to use your elevator on the right stick and use your rudder on the left stick, what they've done is they've put it all on the right stick. So you've got your left and right, which is in fact your rudder, not your ailerons, but it's powered through the aileron channel. Then of course channel 3 is of course your elevator. Channel 4, which is the rudder, isn't used. Channel 5, if you look back on this video, I had my light controller plugged into that. Well, I can't, because channel 5 is reserved for AS3X and safe mode. And then of course 6 is auxiliary, and because this is a 6th channel receiver, I've plugged my lights controller into 6, and I've assigned 6 auxiliary 1 to my right rotary switch. Now we've got this mess here because that needs to plug into there. Right, so they're working, but there is a light here and there is a light here, so I just need to trim this red off. And then on this other side That's really poor the way done. That's got, what, 2 lights? Big enough, it should have had at least 3. In fact, it's got 1 and a bit lights. It's pretty poor. I mean, that's appalling. That piece there literally stays there like that now. Well, I'm not having that, so I think we will cut a little hole here, put that in it, and just tape those up just here. So I'm going to get on and do that now. This was my solution, quite easy. I've actually cut a tiny bit of foam away here and embedded the, I don't know what it is, like a magnet. Glued that with foam tack, half buried into the wing or the horizontal stabilizer. And then I basically taped it. Well, I've decided I'll use the tape all over the plastic piece. So not only is it held on with foam tack now, it's also held on with tape on this side. And I've taped the rest of the wire down flat. And my OSD drove me, it compelled me to put tape on this side as well, so it matches the other side. It also does actually hold this in place, and it's out of the way because that's the side that you see, and there's no tape on it. While I was working on this tail section, the other thing I've done, and I've done it on the wings as well, is where there is an LED, if they have a stripe or some tape that they put over it, I've cut it away. So you can still see the tail stripe, but the LED that's just here won't be red, it will be the colour I set. So there was an LED just up here, just starting to go into the foam. So that's now going to be the same colour as any of these. And I've done the same here. I've just trimmed this tape off, pulled it away, just because there's an LED under here. Now what I did say I was going to do was fly it as is, see how it performs, see how it responds. But I have been told it's a bit weak here, it's a bit bendy. So I've got this flattened carbon rod, carbon spar. What I intend to do later is to cut a hole down the centre line and embed that spar all the way down. I'll cut it up to the hatch and just embed it all the way down into the fuselage. That will give it a bit more stiffness than it currently has, but that's for a later date if I'm not happy with how it performs. Okay, so it's not very dark yet, but just to show as an example, I've now got this on the remote controller board. So I've got complete control via my transmitter of the different light patterns, and all I'm doing to change these is giving a small slight rotation of my right hand rotary switch. That's midway on my rotary switch. Sometimes you have to leave the pattern to develop. You see this is sort of like white lights appearing. You can't see it through the wings very well, but I'll flip it over and show you. And that's the rainbow effect everyone seems to go mad about. I want you to see those lights over there. This is on the underside of the wing. There are 5 LEDs that will always stay red for the left wing, and they will just flash white like that. And if I come down here, it's the same for these green lights. Here we are. A couple of things to note is on these pieces of tape that were covering the lights, I've taken them off. So as I go through the light pattern, you can see these are all showing. Whereas if you left them, these two would be dull, these two would be dull. These are just different patterns that you can select just by rotating the knob, basically. Quite like that one. And as I'm doing this, as I said, the green lights down there will remain green, so I know what side I'm flying, what direction. And the ones over there, you can actually see it reflecting. It stays red. But to me, this was important. This was, again, a huge oversight. Easy fix, but come on. Horizon Hobby should have made sure that they either applied a decal that had a transparency across it, or the decal that stopped at that position. But instead, they just swipe, and covered up the LEDs. It's the same on both wings and the same on the tail. I've actually had to trim the tail down. So here you are actually seeing an LED from here and an LED from up here that would otherwise have been covered. That's quite nice as well. I like that one. And it's so cool because there I am flying away. Oh, let's change the pattern. And I'm not even looking because I know that bleep is halfway. The bleep, by the way, is on the NX6. It's not any part of the Wingnut. Got some solid colours here. It's quite amazing how I can actually see the tailplane moving. This whole thing moves as you do your elevator. It's a joke. The sad thing about all of this, they brought a new one out, and the only difference, apart from a couple of wing lugs in here, which use existing screw holes anyway, everything is the same except the stickers. And it's more expensive. It's just a joke. So thanks for watching, stay safe, stay well, and I hope to see you on another video. Cheers!